Dear Leo, today's message is clear. God's big blessing is coming, and this Saturday could mark the divine turning point you've been preparing for, perhaps without even knowing it. If you're hearing this, it's not a coincidence. Something in your spirit led you here, and the moment you pressed play, you aligned yourself with a divine frequency that is calling your name louder than ever before. You may have sensed a growing restlessness inside you, an ache for something more, something real. And now, that deep knowing within you is ready to be confirmed. Because this Saturday, August 16th, a spiritual doorway opens just for you. And what's behind it is not merely a financial breakthrough or romantic surprise. It's a sacred activation of purpose, healing, and destiny. A release of spiritual inheritance that has been stored for such a time as this. Leo, I know you've been holding so much. You've been patient through closed doors, waiting in silence when nothing seemed to move. You've been praying, even when you weren't sure who was listening. And perhaps you've even questioned whether all your effort, all your faith, would ever lead somewhere meaningful. This message is your confirmation that it absolutely will. And it begins now with your decision to open your heart and let this truth settle in. The divine has not forgotten you. In fact, this entire time, heaven has been setting up a divine appointment. This Saturday is not just another day. It's the day when your waiting, your tears, and your perseverance begin to bloom into miracles. And here's the beautiful part: your role in this is not passive. You're not just a recipient. You are a co-creator in this unfolding. The way you choose to show up spiritually, emotionally, and mentally in the next few days will determine just how deeply this blessing lands in your life. So I ask you, what inside of you brought you here today? What sign, what longing, what gentle whisper in your soul told you to click on this video? Lean into that. Because that whisper is God's way of saying, I see you. I am with you. And I am about to bless you in ways that will exceed your imagination. And before we go any further, I want to pause and thank you not just for watching, but for showing up for your soul. Every like, every comment, every subscription you give here isn't just for this channel. It's a signal to the universe that you're ready. That you're making space. That you're choosing alignment over fear. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your presence here fuels this sacred work. It's what allows me to continue bringing these soul-anchored messages to you and others walking this path. Now, if you've already felt something stirring in your spirit, if you've seen subtle signs, repeating numbers, or had dreams you can't quite explain, go ahead and comment below. I am ready to receive. This is not about superstition. This is about divine alignment. Your declaration is a spiritual signature, a yes to what's already on its way. And trust me, Leo, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end today. Because what the universe is revealing right now is nothing short of miraculous, and it's meant for you. Are you ready? Let's go deeper. Leo, your soul has been waiting. Quietly. Courageously. You may not have had words for it, but you've felt its sense of being suspended in time. Not quite stuck, but not quite moving. A space between chapters, where everything feels still on the outside but churns with quiet longing within. That space isn't easy to inhabit. It tests the strongest of hearts. And yet, if you're honest, there's been something sacred about it, too. A holy stillness, like the hush before dawn. This phase you've been living, the long delay, the silence after effort, the dreams that haven't landed. It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't failure. It wasn't the universe forgetting you. It was refinement. The kind of preparation that doesn't just shape outcomes, but shapes character. And I know that's not always comforting when your heart has been hoping for movement, when your prayers have gone unanswered, when the outside world seems to be sprinting while you remain still. But if you could see what's been forming in the invisible within your energy, within your identity, you would be in awe. Astrologically, Leo has been under the pressure of Saturn's grounding hand meeting Uranus's unexpected disruptions. It's the energetic equivalent of standing on the edge of a cliff, being asked to build a bridge out of trust. And that trust isn't blind, it's forged. Saturn teaches discipline, accountability, and delayed gratification. Uranus shatters illusions and forces us to rebuild on truth, not fantasy. Together, they've been working on your internal structure, your boundaries, your beliefs, your understanding of worth. What felt like restriction was, in truth, sacred architecture. You weren't being blocked. You were being built. And let's not forget, Leo is ruled by the sun. You are light by nature. But even the brightest star can be veiled by clouds. That doesn't mean it's gone. It means it's being hidden temporarily so it can radiate with greater intensity when the time is right. Your waiting period has not dimmed your light. It has concentrated it. It has made it more intentional, more pure. You are not the same person who entered this season. You've been changed from within. This is where spiritual patience transforms into spiritual strength. In our fast-paced world, waiting is often viewed as weakness. But in spiritual law, waiting with purpose is one of the most powerful acts of co-creation. To remain aligned even when there's no proof. To keep loving even when nothing is being returned. To stay soft when the world expects you to harden. That's real power. And whether you realize it or not, you've been embodying it. In moments like this, I'm reminded of a parable, one that echoes through many traditions. A farmer plants a seed and does not dig it up each day to check for progress. He waters it. He protects it. He trusts the process. Your journey has been the same. The seed of your purpose, your abundance, your healing gets been buried. Not to be forgotten, but to be nurtured by the dark, so it could sprout with strength when the time is ripe. And that time is drawing near. Sometimes, the delay is the mercy. It gives you time to grow into the version of yourself who won't sabotage the blessing when it arrives. Because you're not just receiving a gift. You're becoming the kind of person who can hold it, protect it, and expand it for the good of others. That is sacred work. That is soul maturity. So if you felt overlooked, unchosen, or exhausted, know this: you have not been left behind. You've been in preparation. The waiting hasn't wasted you. It has readied you. And everything you've endured has been recorded, not by the world, but by the divine intelligence that governs timing, energy, and justice. What comes next will not be random. It will be perfectly timed, deeply deserved, and beautifully aligned. So breathe deeply, Leo. You're closer than you think. There are moments in life when everything we've endured, everything we've carried, and everything we've hoped for begins to vibrate at a frequency we can't quite explain, but we feel it. After a long season of waiting, this Saturday, August 16th, marks one of those rare energetic thresholds. It's not just another date on the calendar. It's a point of alignment, subtle yet undeniable, where what's happening above us in the sky meets what has been quietly building within us. For Leo, a sign ruled by the sun and born for divine timing, this moment is not random. It is chosen. And it is now. In astrology, energy doesn't just happen. It aligns. It prepares. And then, it activates. On August 16th, we're witnessing a unique astrological convergence, one that blends the earthy abundance of pentacles with the celestial insight of higher guidance. This isn't just a good day for money or for luck. It's a moment when your soul becomes magnetized to purpose, to fulfillment, and to real, lasting opportunity. This isn't luck, it's resonance. And you, Leo, have been tuning your frequency for this without even knowing. Think of it like this: for months, maybe even years, you've been underground like a seed, buried in silence, surrounded by darkness, and waiting for warmth. That wasn't stagnation. That was rooting. Deep, invisible, necessary work. And now, as this cosmic energy peaks, the warmth comes. Not from a physical sun, but from something brighter: your own readiness. The moment the inner world and the outer world align, the seed doesn't need permission. It breaks open. And what's inside begins to rise. The tarot confirms this theme in stunning harmony. The star speaks to renewed hope and divine clarity, often coming after a time of spiritual exhaustion. It tells us, you're not too late. You're right on time. The world whispers of completion and integration, a cycle ending not in confusion, but in wholeness. And the Ace of Pentacles? It offers the very thing your heart has been asking for: tangible beginnings. Not dreams alone, but physical proof. This isn't just emotional encouragement, it's grounded potential. A new path is opening, one where your inner growth becomes outward reward. But here's the thing: this kind of energetic invitation doesn't arrive with fanfare. It doesn't knock loudly or wait until you feel ready. It whispers. It nudges. It appears in symbols, in soft intuitions, in divine detours. A stranger says something that lands in your soul. A number keeps showing up. A message comes at just the right moment. The universe doesn't send emails. It speaks in signs. And the people who see those signs are not lucky. They are listening. This Saturday, listen closely. Notice the subtle shifts. The ease that wasn't there before. The opportunity that seems to fall from nowhere. The inner peace that suddenly settles in where anxiety used to live. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. You're entering the current of divine timing, where life no longer needs to be pushed, only received. And here's the beauty of it: you don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to rush toward anything or force results. What you need to do is stay awake. Be present. Stay open. Be available to the unexpected. And trust that your energy knows the way, even if your mind does not. Because sometimes, blessings don't feel like thunder or lightning. Sometimes, they feel like silence that finally makes sense. So if you find yourself suddenly hopeful, inspired, or just deeply still on August 16th, remember something within you is responding to something much greater than you. Don't ignore it. That's the doorway. Walk through it. Leo, by now you've likely started to sense its subtle, almost imperceptible shift in the atmosphere around you. Something feels different. Not louder, not busier, but clearer. And in that clarity, there's a soft whisper rising inside you, a quiet voice saying, "Pay attention." Something sacred is moving toward you. When the universe is about to deliver a blessing, it doesn't always arrive with thunder or bright lights. More often, it comes like a current beneath the surface, waves of subtle signs and sacred confirmations, each one asking, "Will you notice me?" These signs rarely show up in the way our logical mind expects. They're not checklists or rules to follow. Instead, they're energetic nudges, what I call soul signals. And if you've been feeling any of the 5 we're about to explore, then you're already closer to your blessing than you realize. Each one is a layer of divine preparation, gently rearranging your inner world to align with the miracle that's making its way toward you. Perhaps the first has already happened, a fated reconnection. Someone from your past may have recently re-entered your life, an old friend, a former partner, a family member long distant. This isn't nostalgia. It's closure. When blessings arrive, they often ask us to resolve what's unfinished. Not to reopen wounds, but to clear space. This kind of return isn't always for reconciliation, it's for integration. You're being shown who you were, so you can fully step into who you're becoming. Or maybe you felt the growing pressure to change something, your job, your environment, your routine. Not because it's bad, but because it no longer reflects the truth of who you are. That internal discomfort isn't a sign that you're failing. It's your soul asking for air. What once felt safe now feels suffocating because you're outgrowing the shell you once needed. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. Have you felt a creative surge lately? An urge to write, to dance, to sketch, to sing, even if you've never done those things before? That's not a random hobby. That's your spirit's language. When creative energy awakens, it's because a new path is being revealed, one that doesn't require permission from the world. It's your inner truth asking to be expressed. And in doing so, you activate the very vibration that attracts aligned opportunities. Then there's the moment of sudden clarity. Something you've been spinning over for months, an emotional fog you couldn't navigate suddenly lifts. It doesn't arrive with explanation. It just feels obvious. Peaceful. Light. The question you've been asking suddenly has an answer, and that answer doesn't feel forced. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. This is what alignment sounds like. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. And finally, the sacred flow. Synchronicities stacking on top of each other. A book falling off a shelf with the exact words you needed. A conversation overheard that answers a private prayer. An invitation, a message, a perfect moment of timing that opens a new doorway. These are not coincidences. They're evidence that your energy is in motion, that your inner shift is starting to reflect in the outer world. When you experience any of these waves, these energetic echoes of what's to come, it's not just a sign that a blessing is near. It's confirmation that you are already inside it. That it's unfolding in real time, and all that's left is for you to say yes. Not out of fear, but with reverence. Not with urgency, but with faith. So if any of these signs have found their way into your life recently, don't brush them off. Claim them. Write them down. Speak them out loud. And if your heart says yes, I invite you to comment below, I've seen the sign. Because when you acknowledge the whisper, the universe turns up the volume. And what begins in a ripple becomes a wave that carries you forward right into your breakthrough. When a blessing is near, the soul often knows before the mind can understand. It senses a soft stirring in the atmosphere, a thinning of the veil between what is and what could be. And as we approach this moment of divine timing, this window of transformation, it becomes essential not only to believe but to prepare. Preparation is not about perfection. It's about alignment. And what you choose to release, declare, and embody in this sacred in-between determines how deeply you'll be able to receive what's already on its way to you. Let's begin where the real work always begins, in the act of release. So often we think we're ready for new things, but we're still carrying the weight of what wounded us. Old grudges, regret, self-doubt, guilt, or shame, they hide in the subtle corners of our energy field and quietly resist what's trying to enter. To let go isn't to excuse the pain or deny what happened. It's to stop giving it permission to define what comes next. Forgiveness isn't a gift to the person who hurt you. It's a declaration of freedom for yourself. Because you, dear soul, deserve to meet this new chapter without dragging the rusted chains of the last one behind you. And once you've cleared the space, it's time to plant intention. Not vague hopes, but clear, written words. This is more than manifestation. This is energetic precision. The universe responds most powerfully when you stop asking, if, and start declaring, how. Write it out. Be specific. What kind of peace are you calling in? What kind of relationship, opportunity, growth, or healing are you ready to welcome? Naming your desires gives them shape. It gives them form. It tells the field around you that you're no longer dreaming, choosing. Then comes the courage to move when the call comes. Divine alignment rarely makes announcements. It arrives quietly, through nudges, through numbers, through sudden invitations that seem out of place but feel undeniably right. Intuition is your built-in compass. It's how your soul communicates with your body. And when that inner voice says, go, even if it doesn't make sense to your logic, even if no one else understands, you must trust it. Because that's where blessings are waiting, not in the safe zone, but in the surrendered step. As you walk into this energetic shift, gratitude becomes your daily anchor. Not just for what's arrived, but for what is forming in the unseen. Every morning, even if all you can find is the breath in your body or the sun through your window, say thank you. Gratitude is the fastest path to alignment because it tells the universe, I see what you've done, and I'm open for more. When you give thanks, you magnify every good thing already around you and you invite its expansion. Supporting your energy physically is just as sacred as tending to it spiritually. On a day like this, especially one carrying as much vibrational significance as this Saturday, your body must be as clear a vessel as your heart. Choose foods that feel light, nourishing, and fresh. Drink herbal teas. Take slow walks. Practice deep breathing. Think of it like tuning an instrument. Your spirit is the melody, but your body is the violin. Keep it clean, soft, and steady so the music can flow. And finally, build a quiet space internally and externally. Whether it's through meditation, prayer, or simply sitting in silence with yourself, let that become your sanctuary. No distractions. No noise. Just presence. Because the more available you are mentally, emotionally, and energetically, the more clearly you'll hear the knock of your next blessing. And when it arrives, you'll be ready not to chase it, but to receive it with grace. Once a blessing enters your life, it doesn't simply stop at the surface. It begins to echo outward, reshaping everything it touches. The impact of the energy now moving toward you, Leo, is not fleeting. It's not a moment of excitement that fades after the high. It is a shift designed to unfold over time, 6 to 12 months of realignment, reconstruction, and gentle revolution. And this is where your journey becomes not only personal but profoundly transformational. You are not just receiving something. You are becoming someone. In your work life, the first tremors of this blessing may come quietly: a surprising invitation, a sudden nudge to pitch your ideas, or the return of a passion you thought had faded. Your career is no longer just about income, it's becoming a sacred space where your gifts meet purpose. You may find yourself drawn to create something of your own, or to collaborate with people who feel more like soul family than coworkers. This isn't ambition for its own sake. It's evolution. Your professional path is aligning with your authentic vibration. You no longer need to perform. You only need to show up as yourself. Financially, what's changing is more than the numbers in your account. What's shifting is your relationship with abundance. You're moving from lack and survival into clarity and empowerment. When your inner world is steady, when you trust your choices and understand your worth, money flows differently. Not always dramatically, but with greater ease. A new source of income could appear. Or maybe it's the awareness that your talents deserve to be compensated in full. Either way, this blessing brings freedom, not just funds. And that freedom begins with how you choose to see yourself. Your relationships, too, will begin to reflect the upgrades you've made inside. If there are apologies that have been long overdue, they may find their way to you. If you've been healing from heartbreak, someone new may appear, not to replace what you lost, but to remind you of what's still possible. This is the season of emotional renewal. You're being asked to love with fewer conditions and more courage. To be open, not because you're naive, but because you're healed. The blessing doesn't erase the past. It teaches you how to carry it with wisdom instead of pain. Your personal growth will likely feel like the most intimate reward. You may wake up one morning and feel different, lighter, steadier, more whole. You'll notice that the same things that used to unnerve you no longer hold the same power. You'll speak softer, but your words will land stronger. That's because you're coming into harmony with yourself. You're no longer at war with the past or afraid of the future. Instead, you're fully present. And in that presence, you shine not for attention, but from alignment. Most beautifully, your creative spark and sense of meaning will ignite like never before. You'll remember what it feels like to live with purpose, not just plans. The ideas you've been sitting on will come alive. The colors will return to your inner world. You'll create not to impress, but to express. To contribute. To inspire. In many ways, this blessing is not about giving you something new. It's about waking up what was already inside you, the part of you that had dimmed under pressure or gone silent during survival. Now, that part is being called forth. And so, over the next 6 to 12 months, expect movement. Expect opportunities. But more than anything, expect yourself to evolve. You are not who you were. And the blessing isn't here to rescue you. It's here to reveal you, to show you the version of yourself that has been waiting all along to step forward. Let that version rise. Let them lead. Let this new chapter begin, not just with celebration, but with calm knowing. The future isn't coming to save you. It's coming to mirror the work you've already done in faith. Leo, if you've made it here, truly made it here, with your heart open and your spirit still listening, then let this moment be your confirmation. You don't need another sign. You don't need a louder message. The fact that you're still here, still watching, still feeling the stirrings in your soul, that is the sign. The blessing isn't just approaching, it's already brushing against the edges of your energy field, waiting for one thing: your full presence. Your yes. Your readiness. And I want you to pause, just for a breath, and ask yourself, what would happen if I truly believed that I am chosen for this? Not by accident, not by luck, but because I've endured, I've grown, and I'm finally ready to receive not just what I want, but what's meant for me. Would you show up differently this week? Would you speak with more courage? Would you take that step you've been avoiding, not out of pressure, but out of divine trust? A blessing like the one that's forming now doesn't come to everyone. It comes to those who prepare, those who say yes even when they're still a little afraid, those who decide that the risk of staying the same is greater than the risk of stepping forward. And that, Leo, is you. You've already done the hardest part. You've faced the void. Now it's time to rise into the vision that was planted in your heart long ago. So I ask you, soul to soul, will you let this Saturday pass like any other? Or will you claim it as sacred? Will you see the signs around you and stay silent? Or will you raise your voice and let the universe know you're ready? You have a choice here, a power that is beautifully yours. And if even a small part of you feels called to say yes, then say it boldly. Type it in the comments: I am ready to receive. Let that be your declaration, not just to this community, but to the field of infinite possibility that is listening for your signal. And if this message touched something inside you, if you felt seen, understood, or inspired even for a moment, I want to thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for your journey. Your presence is not just appreciated, it is sacred. Every time you like, comment, or subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, you help amplify this light. You become part of the wave that brings healing, clarity, and alignment not just to yourself, but to others who are quietly searching for hope. So stay close, Leo. Stay awake. Stay open. Because something beautiful is already unfolding beneath the surface. And when it fully arrives, I want you to be ready not just to witness it, but to walk in it. You are not just valuable. You are vital. You are not just one of many. You are the light someone else is waiting to see. And this Saturday, yes, this one may just be the day that light fully turns on.